The music was our music. The music represented what we were feeling at the time. And we, as young people, this was our time to shine.
The original Woodstock concert stands as one of the most iconic and transformative events in American cultural history. A pivotal moment for the 1960s counterculture, the festival drew nearly 500,000 people, far exceeding expectations. Woodstock became a symbol of peace, love, and music, showcasing the power of the youth movement and its potential to create a harmonious and inclusive community. Despite the logistical challenges, including severe traffic, food shortages, and torrential rains that turned the grounds into a mud pit, the event maintained a remarkably peaceful atmosphere. Join Factsverse as we take a look at photos, some not suitable for all ages, from this legendary moment in American history. The artists who played.
Well, how was the festival in general? Would you consider it a success?
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was probably the strangest things that ever happened in the world.
This clip of Dick Cavett asking Joni Mitchell, Jefferson Airplane, and David Crosby about Woodstock perhaps best encapsulates the wild event. The original concert, held from August 15th to 18th, 1969, featured an eclectic lineup of 32 acts that spanned various genres, from rock and folk to blues and jazz. This historic event is remembered not only for its music, but also for its embodiment of the 1960s counterculture spirit. The festival kicked off Friday, August 15th, with Richie Havens, who captivated the audience with a powerful 45-minute set. Havens' impromptu performance of Freedom became an iconic moment of the festival. Other performers that day included Joan Baez, who braved a torrential downpour to deliver a stirring set that included We Shall Overcome, a nod to her commitment to social justice and civil rights. Saturday's lineup was even more diverse, beginning with Quill and featuring standout performances from Santana, Janis Joplin, and The Who. Santana's set, especially their explosive performance of Soul Sacrifice, is often credited with catapulting them to fame. According to Bill Graham, a concert promoter who helped bring Santana to Woodstock, quote, Santana went from being a Bay Area favorite to an international sensation overnight. Janis Joplin, with her raw and powerful voice, delivered a memorable performance, singing hits like Piece of My Heart and Ball and Chain. The Who's set, which included their rock opera Tommy, was another highlight, even though it was marred by technical difficulties and the infamous on-stage clash with activist Abby Hoffman. Sunday saw performances by iconic bands like The Band, Joe Cocker, and Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Joe Cocker's rendition of With a Little Help from My Friends is still celebrated for its soulful intensity. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, performing together for only the second time, brought a sense of unity and harmony to the stage with songs like Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. Jimi Hendrix closed the festival with his now legendary performance on Monday morning, playing to a considerably smaller crowd as many attendees had already begun their journey home. His rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, with its searing guitar solos and feedback, became an enduring symbol of the era's political and social upheavals. This diverse array of performances at Woodstock not only showcased the musical talents of the era, but also highlighted the unity and spirit of a generation seeking peace and change. Wild stories from Woodstock. Woodstock was a cultural phenomenon that became legendary for the extraordinary and often chaotic experiences. Among the most remarkable aspects were the spontaneous and often wild events. The sheer size of the crowd was one of the first wild elements of Woodstock. Initially expecting around 50,000 attendees, the organizers were overwhelmed as approximately 500,000 people descended upon Max Yasgur's dairy farm. Music writer and Celtic guitarist Glenn Weiser said, quote, The afternoon wore on, and it became obvious that something completely unexpected had happened. Although the exact size of the crowd was unknown, it was reckoned to be at least in the six figures by the people on the stage, as opposed to the tens of thousands that were supposed to have shown up. Later, we learned it had been around 500,000. The third largest city in New York State had sprung up like a mushroom. The unexpected influx turned the event into a free festival when the fences were torn down by the masses who arrived without tickets. According to a health department report, The festival saw about 5,162 patients treated, primarily for minor injuries, drug-related issues, and other health concerns. Drug use at Woodstock was rampant and contributed to many memorable and bizarre experiences. One teenager was reportedly selling LSD that turned out to be laced with strychnine, causing numerous bad trips. Despite these challenges, the overall atmosphere remained surprisingly peaceful. John Fogerty of Creedence Clearwater Revival described the scene as, quote, bodies from hell, all intertwined and asleep, covered with mud. The logistics of feeding and caring for such a massive crowd led to many improvisations and acts of communal support. Food shortages were common, and attendees often shared whatever they had. In one notable instance, a group known as the Hog Farm set up free food kitchens and provided basic medical care. Their leader, Wavy Gravy, became famous for his unconventional methods of maintaining order, such as threatening to douse troublemakers with seltzer water or throw pies at them. The unpredictable weather added another layer of complexity to the festival. Torrential rains turned the fields into a muddy quagmire, but rather than dampen spirits, it seemed to enhance the communal experience. Attendees embraced the mud, with many using it as an opportunity to slide and play, turning the challenging conditions into a form of entertainment. Despite the hardships, there were moments of profound human connection. Couples met and fell in love. Lifelong friendships were formed, and the collective experience left an indelible mark on those who attended. The traffic. The traffic leading to Woodstock was an event in itself, marking the beginning of an extraordinary weekend. By August 13th, 2 days before the festival officially began, traffic jams had already started forming as tens of thousands of people converged on Bethel, New York. The highways and streets leading to Max Yasgur's dairy farm were so packed that many people abandoned their cars and walked the remaining miles to the site. The congestion was so severe it prompted the use of helicopters to transport performers and emergency supplies to and from the venue. According to John Fogerty, quote, the fact that freeways were all clogged for 50 miles around was like, wow, that's pretty unusual. Technical director Chris Langhardt explained, quote, I didn't plan on the road getting stopped up as soon as it did. Helicopters from private companies, the Army, and the Air National Guard were used to airlift supplies, including food and medical equipment, and to shuttle performers to the stage. Many attendees turned the gridlock into an impromptu party, socializing and sharing supplies with fellow travelers. For some, the journey to Woodstock was just as memorable as the festival itself. As one attendee recalled, quote, from traffic jams and picking up hitchhikers to walking miles to the location or not making it there at all, Woodstock was just as much about the journey as it was seeing Jimi Hendrix or Jefferson Airplane perform. The mud. The heavy rains that began on Friday night turned the fields of Max Yasgur's farm into a quagmire, creating challenging conditions. By the second day, the once dry fields had transformed into a thick, slippery mud. Attendees, many of whom were unprepared for the rain, found themselves drenched and covered in mud. Nancy Eisenstein, an attendee, recalled how she and her friend woke up soaked in their sleeping bags after a night of rain. She said the mud was so deep and dark it looked like chocolate syrup mixed with cow manure. The conditions were difficult, with long trips to the limited sanitation facilities and shortages of food and water. Yet the communal atmosphere persisted, with people sharing food and supplies. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Woodstock is the most important music festival in history? Let us know in the comment section below.